Okay, well, now we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter on KGRADB. We are now live on our with our friends there on Spreaker. Oh, you got one. Congratulations to you. And now, of course, we're Clapper. Hello there, Clapper, and hello there, TikTok. I missed you guys. I missed you. I do have a podcast. It's on Spreaker. If you go to Bishop James Long, I'm going to have to put my other links up there for my paranormal podcast. I need to start doing that. I'm not very good at it, but I got to start doing it. So I promise you I will. If I just remember it, because I have a paranormal podcast up there. I have the Sacred Division Paranormal Show is up there. Yep, and so I need to put that up there for. Okay, everybody, hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to be back here with you guys, and happy Friday to all of you. Happy Friday to every single one of you. Yes, last week, as you know, I was not here on TikTok. Like I said, someone just didn't like the fact that I said thank you to our military troops for Memorial Day, and they just falsely reported it. But anyway, that's what happened. That's why I wasn't here last week. But we're here this week, and you're here, and happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to all you guys. Well, a couple things. Let's get some business taken care of before we have talk about this. We're going to have a really cool show today because the topic is going to be I think it's an interesting topic. One of my favorite topics to discuss, and we've never discussed it here. So, first of all, I want you to go to this website, kgradb.com. Okay, kgradb.com, and I want you to do me a favor and go to that site. Again, kgradb.com. Now, do yourself a favor and subscribe, because if you subscribe, but make sure you put Bishop as your promo code because you're going to get 30% off. They have a lot of great shows there, terrific shows. And so I really love them. It's a great site, and I encourage you to check it out. Okay, so kgradb.com. And make sure you put Bishop as your promo code. Now, if you want to go to my website, it's pretty simple, bishopjameslong.com. There you go. Easy peasy, bishopjameslong.com. And, of course, we have the store there. But if you also want to go to the church's website, it's, again, usocc.org. There it is. So that's all the fun, feel exciting. Make sure we have to get all that out there. You know what I mean? So definitely check that out. I think you'll enjoy it. And there, that's it. That's it. Now, a couple of things that I do want to pass on before we forget, because if I don't, I won't remember, because my kind of like, I'm going to put this here. For those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and KGRADB, I'm just putting there the link on the screen. There is a really, really cool event that is coming up. And I will be attending that event. Now, I'm not attending a whole lot of events, but this one I will be attending. It's July the 22nd from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now, here's what I want you to do. If you want to go there, it's called Defeating the Demonic. It is really I think it's a very cool seminar. I'll be there. Bill Bean will be there. Jason McLeod, who is the author of Dark Siege, who also worked with the Warrens. Archbishop Fael Enright will be there. Archbishop Cloud will be there. And so we'll be talking about our experiences, our life experiences, and just kind of doing a training seminar, if you will. And I think it's going to be fantastic. So if you want to go there, it's going to be, for those of you who don't know, it's going to be at Heritage Road, Southbury, Connecticut. It is Saturday, July the 22nd. Now, here's the cool thing about it, folks. This is what I really like about it, because everybody's been asking me, well, they say, Bishop, I'm not even close to Connecticut. So what can I do? No problems. I have just been informed that this is going to be live streamed as well. So if you can't make it to the event, you don't have to worry about it. If you want to, you can live stream it. Here's what you need to do. Okay, you need to go to this website, darksiege.com. And that's all you got to do. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take this off here. I'm going to fix this because you don't even have to go. I don't think you have to. Let me just double check. I think it's just on darksiege.com, the actual Yeah, it is. So you don't even have to go that day. So he changed that. Hang tight, everybody. I'm just fixing this. There we go. So just go to darksiege.com. Oh, Ireland, I've never been. Would love to go. Darksiege.com. And you will see where it says Defeating the Demonic. And so if you want to get your tickets, you can get those there. Now, they go to the Facebook page. The Facebook page is very simple. Facebook.com/Defeating the Demonic. You know what I mean? So it's very easy. If you go to the Facebook page and you scroll down, you will see where the live stream sign up is. So if you can't make it physically, you can go there by live streaming. I think it's pretty nice. So that Jason McLeod is putting this together, and so there we go. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. Check it out, everybody, and I think you would really, really like that. Let me just put this up here so everybody can see it as well on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Bear with me while I do this. Defeating the Demonic. There we go. There we go. So I think that's it. So if you want to go to Facebook, just go to the Facebook page if you want to sign up for the live stream. And that's facebook.com/Defeating the Demonic. Okay. So that's all the fun-filled, exciting places. Jason is a great guy, and he is a terrific author. I'm telling you, if you have not, people always ask me about books. I certainly will. Yeah, I certainly will. 8987 Bravo. Yeah. Jason has always asked me, people ask me about their books and what type of books I suggest. Folks, I'm telling you, do yourself a favor and get a hold of those Dark Siege books. They're great. They are fantastic. I mean, they're very well written. And Jason has a gift. He has a gift. And I strongly encourage those books. Strongly encourage. Okay, so here we are, and I'm excited that you're here, and I'm excited to be here. Let me get some cough drops. We had some. I'm in Kentucky, and our weather has not been the greatest as far as the quality air because of the fire in Canada. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the gifts there on TikTok. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you, and thank you for the likes as well. Okay, today, guys, we're going to talk about a topic that's really, really cool. And I tell you what, this is a topic that I have not discussed before. I know quite a bit about it. I've studied these things, but this is crazy. And a lot of people may not know a whole lot about it. But have you ever heard of the term doppelganger? Doppelganger. It's a creepy... if you're in the paranormal field, you've heard it before. It's when I first went on I don't take it seriously, but when I first went on TikTok, everyone said, "Hey, Paul Bart," because I guess they were calling me Paul Bart because I have a large forehead. But I was like, okay, well, whatever. So yeah, they kept calling me Paul Bart. So I don't know. Anyway. But doppelganger is a very, very interesting theory. You can go to usocc.org. Oh, Ramos loves the Legion of Exorcists. Very good. I'll tell you, I got to tell you something, folks. Let me just say this before I get into it. The show, Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists on the Travel Channel, and I believe HBO Max. I can't really say enough praise for the Travel Channel, for Eli Roth. Eli Roth is a very cool guy. He really is a very nice person. And the director, Brian, there's nothing I cannot, there are no other words that I can use except for exceptional. Well, actually, there are a lot. I mean, professional, exceptional. I mean, patient, unbelievable. The Brian, he is the one who directed it. Man, he's top notch. And when I went to when I was on the scene, when we got to the church, I'll get to the doppelgangers just one second, because a lot of people are asking about Eli Roth because I wasn't here last week. But when we got to the church, well, first of all, the church is stunning, beautiful. I mean, the church, it really is. It is a stunning church. And actually, it was a bishop's chapel. And I tell you what, it's just beautiful. And Brian was very meticulous. The director was very meticulous about making sure to get it right, making sure to get the shots right, making sure to get the stories right, making sure to everything was done. It was a lot. It was a long hours. I mean, I'm telling you, we were there for we started early and we left late. But really hats off to Brian, the director, and the writers and the whole staff. The whole staff was just terrific. So, okay. All right. Let's see. I'm look here. Let me just block. Okay. I'm just not going to put up with nonsense. Yeah, I just blocked her. Okay. No, because actually the old Catholic Church started in 1049. Sometimes some people argue 1120. So no. So let's. Anyway, I tell you what, I really respected the guys there. They were terrific. And I think hopefully you like it. Hopefully you like it. I'm hoping you do. And if you, I would love to know your thoughts on it, and go from there. So if you want to know more about the church, usocc.org. Okay, that's the name of the church. Or you can come to us on Sunday. Sundays and Wednesdays we have Bible study. So there we go. Okay. Well, hello and welcome, everybody. I hope you are going to have a good weekend, and let's have a good, well, thank you very much. Let's have a good conversation about doppelgangers. Okay. Excuse me one second. There we go. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and put subscribers only can chat at this point in time on TikTok, and I'll open it up at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because it was just very distracting with the rude comments. Okay, doppelgangers. Let's get into this. This was actually written by Francois Brunel. And it's very, very, doppelgangers are one of those topics that when you read more about them, the more you read about it, the more questions you have. So this is by her. So it says that it's on your passport. It's how criminals are identified in a lineup. It's how you recognize by old friends on the street, even after years apart, your face. It's so tangled up with your identity. Soon it may be all you need to unlock your smartphone, access your office, or buy a house. And actually, that's what it is. That's come to that now. For those of you who need to know, this was actually written. When was this written? This article, 2016. So now, soon it will be all you need to unlock your smartphone. That's what we are. That's where we are. Underpinning it all is the assurance that your looks are unique, and then one day your illusions are smashed. Quote, I was the last one on the plane, and there was someone in my seat, so I asked the guy to move. He turned around, and he had my face. Says Neil Douglas, who was on his way to a wedding in Ireland when it happened. So, quote, the whole plane looked at us and laughed, and that's when I took the selfie. The uncanny events continued when Douglas arrived at his hotel, only to find the same double at the check-in desk. And later the paths crossed again at a bar, and they accepted that the universe wanted them to have a drink. So he woke up the next morning with a hangover and an Argentinian radio show on the phone, and the picture had gone viral. I got to tell you something. Let me take a picture of this. When you, this is kind of creepy. When you actually look at this, they do actually look like at least brothers, if not twins. So let me just take a picture and let me show it to you. Now, keep in mind, this is not, these people are not related. So these people are on the plane. They just met each other. Take a look. That's insanity. Look at this. Now, these people are not related at all. They're not related. And when you see that, that kind of, I got to tell you something. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? That's kind of crazy. Well, anyway, and by the way, they did, and they checked. They checked their history. They checked. They said someone maybe separated birth. No. But anyway, it says folk wisdom has it that everyone had, according to folk wisdom, everyone has a doppelganger. And somewhere out there, there's a perfect duplicate of you with your mother's eyes, your father's nose, and that annoying mole you've always wanted to have it removed. The notion has gripped the popular imagination for millennia, and it was the subject of one of the oldest known works of literature, inspiring the works of poets and scaring queens to death. But here's the question. Is there any truth in it? So this author says, we live on a planet over 7 billion people. So surely someone else is bound to have been born with your face. Perhaps. Is it a silly question with serious implications? The answer is more complicated than you may think. You see, in fact, until recently, no one had ever tried to find out. Then last year, which was 2015, actually, Tegan Lucas set out to test the risk of mistaking an innocent double for a killer. Armed with a public collection of photographs of U.S. military personnel and the help of colleagues from the University of Adelaide, Tegan painstakingly analyzed the faces of nearly 4,000 individuals, measuring the distance between key features such as the eyes and ears, and next she calculated the probability that two people's faces would match. Well, what she found was good news for the criminal justice system, but likely to disappoint anyone pinning for their long-lost double. The chances of sharing just 8 dimensions with someone else are less than 1 in a trillion. Even with 7.4 billion on the planet, there's only a 1 in 135 chance that there's a singular pair of doppelgangers. So before you could always be questioned in a court of law saying, well, what if someone else just looks like him? Now we can say it's extremely unlikely. But the results can be explained by the famed infinite monkey problem. Sit a monkey in front of a typewriter for long enough, and eventually it will surely write the complete works of William Shakespeare by randomly hitting, biting and jumping up and down on the keys of the board. Okay, it's mathematically certainty, but reversing the problem reveals just how staggeringly long the monkey would have to toil. So ignoring grammar, the monkey has a 26 chance of correcting type. It's just not going to happen, obviously. But this is what they're saying here, is there is a possibility in this, in the calculations, that there is a possibility that you do have an actual doppelganger that exists somewhere out there that looks almost identical to you. And here's what's really amazing. If you look at the old historical photos and people who are born today, celebrities today, and you look at old, you are absolutely convinced either 1, they were reincarnated, or 2, they're time traveler. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, you just have to figure, because it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Here are some stories that I found on the internet of people who actually have had encounters with doppelgangers. And these stories are when I read this, I thought, okay, I've got to share this with you. I have to, because it really is kind of creepy. And this is by Brent Swancer. So let me read this to you. And some of these stories that people say, I don't know how many. First of all, I'd like to know how many of you actually believe that we have a doppelganger. I would really like to know that. How many of you actually believe that we have one? There are many people who say, no, it's just absurd. It's just stupid. It doesn't exist. So Pink Psychic Medium says yes. Shannon says yes. Wow, there's a lot of you who do. This is amazing that there's so many of you who actually believe. I was thinking that It's a natural. Okay, now this I am surprised at this one because I thought that the answer was going to be a lot less. I did not think it was going to be that many people. That's kind of okay. A doppelganger, for those of you, is really it's a mysterious, almost exact double of a living person. It's a German word. It translates as like a double walker or double goer, and it isn't someone who just. Some people say no, a doppelganger isn't just someone who resembles you, but it's an exact double, right down to the way you walk, to what to talk, your voice, and everything of this nature. And now, of course, you can always do it. Some people say, well, how can I find out if I have a doppelganger? Well, you can do use a reverse image or a reverse image search. Now, I've been in the paranormal field for a long, long, long time. I don't believe I have a doppelganger out there. I just don't. That's just my personal opinion. Now, some people disagree, but I don't believe I do. So, but people who absolutely are convinced that they are and that they do exist, I don't know. See, you got, according to one study, the likelihood of two people sharing the exact facial feature, we're talking the exact, folks, facial feature is less than 1 in a trillion. So in other words, put in other words, there's only a 1 in 135 chance that a single pair of doppelgangers exist on our planet. So it's not a huge amount of people that actually has an exact replica. So it's just simply not there. But yeah. Here's the deal about, do I think it's a coincidence? I don't, there's something, people are saying that, I mean, that picture, that guy who met this person at random on that plane, that was kind of creepy because they look to me like they're at least brothers, if not twins. Listen to this. It says, we all like to think that we know the ones we love well. We spend so much time with them and form connections with them, and we think that we really know who they are. Yet in the world of the paranormal, there is a strange phenomenon that shows that we are not always safe in the presence of our loved ones, and that beloved family members and the ones closest to us might sometimes be replaced by supernatural imposters merely masquerading as the ones we think we know. So here's a different take on doppelgangers. The word doppelganger, according to this author, originally derives from the German phrase double goer. And rather than denoting one who simply bears a striking resemblance to another, the origin of the word is steeped in the world of the strange and supernatural. The myths and legends orbiting the doppelganger phenomena are varied. So in some traditions, they were considered to be shadow selves or ghostly twins that follow their owners around, and which all of us possess, although they rarely make themselves known. So these shadow beings were often said to be harbingers of bad luck, hardship, illness, disaster, death, and it was never thought to be a good thing if one were to see their own doppelganger. So in other traditions, the doppelganger is a supernatural entity such as a spirit or demon, which takes the form of a person for evil purposes, and other tales describe them as physical manifestations of a person's spirit, a sort of extension of them giving form of the physical world. So it's interesting that depending on the culture would really depend on whether or not a doppelganger is good or not. It says doppelgangers are said to be indistinguishable from their double and usually are imparted with all of the same knowledge and memories. That's where I have to this is where I have to draw the line on that. Can I agree that there's probably somebody out there that might have a resemblance to me? Yeah, we got 7 billion people in the world. Okay. I'm sure somebody out there in this world might look similar to me. But when you start saying that they have the same knowledge and they have the same memories, see, now that's where I say, and some cultures believe this. Some old lore actually says that. Mm-hmm. You're right, Lisa. And old lore actually says that's true. And some say that when you see your doppelganger, you'll shortly thereafter pass away. So Um, wow. So look at it. It says, do you have a doppelganger? 75% said yes, and 25% said no on TikTok. It's interesting because it really just depends, I think, on the definition, on which definition we're going to use a doppelganger. Do I believe that there is somebody that looks similar to me in this world? Yeah. Yep. I can buy that. I can buy it. Do I believe there's an identical twin that has the same knowledge and the same memories? No, I do not believe that. And I think that's what we have to define doppelganger, because it depends on who you speak to. Some, doppelgangers are people that you just kind of look just similar to you, versus others are, and they are identical. They are a replica of you. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. So it says here, they are said to appear either directly, fully interacting with the world as their double would, often in an entirely different location, or to simply make themselves known fleetingly in the periphery of the vision. Now, in some eerie cases, they are known to have the unsettling habit of blinking into existence behind a person as they look into a mirror, hiding on the edges of our own unknown reality. If you've ever seen, by the way, these paranormal videos out there where they have someone looking in the mirror and then they turn away and you see their image is still there, blinking, or it's not following, obviously, what the image is doing, that's all based on a doppelganger belief. That's where that comes from. Now, that can also be easily done via green screen. And quite honestly, in every single case that I've seen on all these videos, in every single one of them, I've been able to debunk it. So that's but you'll see it a lot. You'll see on these paranormal videos where someone is brushing their hair like this, and then they'll turn like this, but the person in the image on the mirror is still brushing their hair. But again, that's you can easily fake that. That takes 5 minutes, if that. So anyway, in some cases, some eerie cases, they're known to have the unsettling habit of blinking into existence, and it is not uncommon to hear tales of a doppelganger interacting and talking with the friends and family of a person in a different place, as if they were that person, totally unbeknownst to anyone involved, especially the one being copied. Now, although it is said that these shadowy imposters have mostly nefarious intent and agendas, haunting their owners and being very much like the evil twin, if you will, they are said to also, on occasion, help their double, doing tasks, taking care of business, doing chores, more or less acting as sort of a surrogate body for their host. Now, here is a theory. Here's a theory in the ufology world, UFO world. There are some folks who are ufologists who actually say that many of these doppelgangers are aliens. Now, I'm just telling you a theory. Now, I'm not, you can buy it or not. And thank you for the gifts. I appreciate that. If I have not said thank you, because I have three different computers running the show. So there are theories that they are aliens that pose as your doppelganger. And in so much that once they feel comfortable, they can interact with your family and even trick your family. Now, again, that is a theory. Not all ufologists believe this, but there are many people in that field who actually believe that is what they are, because obviously they believe if they approach you to what they really look like. So, but it's an interesting theory. I guess that's what's so fun about the paranormal. I'm obviously skeptical, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. So although this may all sound like pure myth and spooky folklore, there are many well-known and documented real cases throughout history of people encountering their own mysterious doppelgangers. And these reports are often imbued with a surreal bizarreness. So spooky accounts of people encountering doppelgangers frequently involve family members or people the witness is somehow very close with, and they can be quite startling and eerie. So here's a story that you may never have heard of. This person says that this actually happened on two occasions, once with her husband and once with her father. So this is what she said. Listen to this. And And you can buy it if you want to, or you can say, nope, I want the refund. But here is allegedly a story of a person who had a doppelganger experience. It says the first one was my husband. I turned into the hallway and saw him there, walking away from me and towards the bathroom at the opposite end. I called to him, but he did not respond. And as soon as he entered the bedroom, he turned to the left. She said there's just a wall there, not even any windows. And I followed him into the bedroom, but there was no one there. My husband had been upstairs the entire time. The second time was my dad. He was unloading some things from his truck and was going to bring them to the back door, which opens into the kitchen. And I was in the kitchen and I heard a noise at the door. Through the window in the door, I saw my dad bending over as though he was bending down to untie his shoes. I ran to the door and opened it, but there was no one there. My dad was still at his truck. And both times it's been a family member, and both times I haven't seen their faces. Neither event felt wrong in any way or sinister. The movements that the figures made were exactly the movements my dad and husband would have made. Now, look, here is when you're getting to physics and interdimensional beings. Okay, there are some people who actually believe that there are other dimensions besides the one in which we are currently living. And there are theories out there that there are multiple dimensions where it is we have the same exact solar system, people, 7 billion, that your doppelganger actually exists in another dimension. Now, there is a theory also that sometimes your dreams. So if you dream of being a president, well, allegedly, there's a theory that is your doppelganger trying to connect to you interdimensionally, and that actually your doppelganger is a president in another universe, a parallel universe, if you will. Or if you, I don't know, have a dream of being a teacher, I don't know, whatever it might be, that your doppelganger in another dimension is actually a teacher or a police officer or whatever it is. And that to me is very, very crazy. When you think about that, and there are actually some astrophysics who absolutely believe that. So the theory then is that these doppelgangers that we see that do not interact with us, like allegedly this case was, that the dimensions are somehow intermingling. And it's almost very similar to the movie The Others, where they're not fully aware that one or the other exist. That's the best way to describe it. If you've seen the movie The Others, which is a great movie, that somehow your doppelganger from another dimension is entering into our dimensions, either through the apparition form, because when they call out, they don't respond. It's an interesting theory. Again, it's a theory. Here's another one, and tell me what you think about this one. Dimensions, yeah. It is an interesting theory. It really is. So here, when I was about 16 or 17, I was really heavy into doing the Ouija board. Bad stuff. Now, other stuff happened, but the doppelgangers were definitely the worst. The first one was my mom. I heard her come in, and my best friend was with me. My friend and I walked down to greet her. She looked like a younger version of my mom and was carrying groceries. So I tried calling out to her, but she didn't respond and walked into my brother's room. Then I got a sick feeling. I called out to her, but she didn't respond still. So I followed her up. She was not there. And when I walked back down, my real mom had come in and didn't know what was going on. She was also wearing a different outfit. The next one was my brother. My mom was talking to him on the phone, and he said he was on his way home. As soon as he hung up, my brother walked in the door. He talked to us for a little bit. My mom wanted him to take out the garbage or something and then walk to the bathroom. He had been in the bathroom for like 15 minutes, and then I got the sick feeling again. And I asked if he had fallen in or something. And then my real brother walked in the home and was freaked out. My mom checked on him all night long to make sure he was okay. Both times they had darker eyes, and it felt sort of like a dream, but I was definitely awake, and other people witnessed it. See, this is, I'm telling you, when you hear these stories like this, you kind of scratch your head and you wonder how much of this is nonsense versus how much of this is true. But that's what these people are saying. Now, of course, the author here says the mention of the Ouija board is certainly an interesting detail. And one wonders just how much of a part that could have played in this bizarre encounter. I agree with that. It is a possible. See, that's the thing. Is the doppelganger a concept biblical? No. There's just nothing. We're not. I mean, there's no. Now, I guess some people could say that when Jesus was resurrected, they didn't quite recognize him at first. But then he began to speak to them, and then they recognized him. I guess some can argue that would be a form of a doppelganger. I don't believe that, but I think that could be a theory that some people would argue. So I'm just presenting that as a possibility, what they would explain. Here's another story about someone who experienced a doppelganger. It says both times that my family experienced doppelgangers, the doppelgangers refused to respond when spoken to. It really is interesting. I've been, like I said, I've been in the paranormal for a long time. I've spoken to people from all over the world, of different cultures too. And that's what's really very, very, very cool. Different faiths. One thing that I have found in the majority of the cases when it comes to doppelgangers is that the doppelganger does not acknowledge them. It doesn't respond. It's almost now. There's an intelligent haunting, or there's residual haunting in the paranormal community. Residual haunting is like energy. That's energy that has embedded itself within a space, and it just repeats itself. There's no intellect there. There's no intelligence. It's just a repeating story. So if it's soldiers, they're repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again. Whereas intelligent, they communicate with you. It does seem that the majority of people who have doppelganger experiences experience some form of residual energy. Now, that's not to say that that's in every case, because there have been cases where allegedly these doppelgangers have actually communicated with their loved ones. But it kind of does sound, for the majority, it sounds residual, where they're not aware that you're there, and they're not even aware that you exist. But it is, again, it's a. Kim says, when I came out of the coma in 2019, I kept feeling I was in the wrong place. Oh, wow. That's interesting. See, this multi-parallel universe dimensions is a very interesting theory. It truly is. So anyway, it says here, so the doppelganger refused to respond when spoken to. And the first was my sister's doppelganger, who my brother told to go downstairs for lunch. She did not answer. And when my brother walked downstairs, he instantly saw my actual sister wearing a different shirt. She couldn't have passed my brother so quickly because the staircase led directly to our dining room area. The second was my own doppelganger, who had stood at my door at 12 p.m., mute, and staring at my sister, who was using the computer. I wasn't actually home until 4 p.m. later that day after school. My sister didn't know that I didn't come home until 4, until she asked me why I was just staring at her without emotion earlier around noon. Man, that's I do. I'm telling you, I do. Yes, I do. Yep. My sister's asking, remember showing me that picture of Anna Nicole Smith? I do believe, yes. There's a picture of my sister, of Anna Nicole Smith. Holding her baby. And I'm telling you what, when I saw that, I thought, okay, that looks like Shannon. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find this. when I first saw it, I thought, well, that's kind of creepy. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to find it now. But yeah, I remember sending it to you and said, look at this. You need to see this. This is crazy. Because it did. It looked like it was my sister holding the baby. I mean, really, it looked just like her, in my opinion. But yeah, I will maybe one day we'll find it if I can. But yeah, it was she was in the hospital and she was laying in the bed, and I thought, man, it was creepy. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. I'll have to look for it again. But yeah, when I saw that, that was close. I mean, that was pretty darn close. And of course, that's when you hate you can't find it. Hold on. Yeah, I want to try to find this because this was. Yeah, I can't find it, but I'll have to look at it for one day. But that was an interesting picture. That was a very interesting picture. So anyway, it says here, I wasn't actually home until 4 p.m. later that day, and my sister didn't know why. She asked why I was just staring at her without any emotion. So that, I mean, again, another situation. But this, I mean, was this doppelganger? Did she know this person? I mean, this is the only time we see stories of someone acknowledging. Yeah, and you're right, Jeff. Anna Nicole Snake she used to talk a lot about paranormal. Okay, here's listen to these. While these encounters so far seem innocuous enough and are baffling and odd rather than downright terrifying, other cases are a lot more sinister and frightening. Hinting at something perhaps more malevolent in nature. So here's another claim who claims his friend had a particular eerie encounter with the doppelganger of his mother, or at least something trying to pretend to be his mother. Now, I had a case once where a mom lost her little boy. I think he was 4 or 5 years old. And he kicked the ball. I talked about this before. He kicked the ball out in the street and he got hit. Well, obviously, he passed away, and she was devastated, absolutely devastated. And they buried him. But 2 days later, she was happy and talking to him in his room that he had and singing his favorite lullaby. And so the family had contacted us and asked, look, we need your help, because they thought originally she was having a breakdown. And I told them, I'm not a psychologist. So if you're asking me to, I can't do that. I can investigate, because there was other activity occurring in their home. And they said, yes, please, just come here, because it was something. She did some things that she should not have done when she was younger. And she did a lot of bad things. And so that was a form of invitation. So when I got there, we did some investigation. We had growls, smells, so the banging. So it was the typical stuff. And I thought, okay, something is not right, obviously, here. So when she was in the little boy's room, and she was on the bed, and she was holding him. She was holding it looked like she was holding a child, singing his favorite lullaby and looking at him, and just, the door was kind of open, and I snapped a picture, and I have a full body apparition of this little boy that looked like him. I couldn't see the eyes. And the moment I began praying, the activity became very violent. And that was hard, because we had to tell her, I'm sorry, but this was not your child. So this was no question, this was a demonic, no question. And that was rough. That was a rough case. But listen to this. It says he was about 15 and home alone over a long weekend while his parents were traveling. But on Saturday night around 7 to 8 p.m., he was in his bedroom upstairs when he suddenly heard his mom call up the stairs to come get dinner. And he popped his head out of his room, and he was confused, but no one was there. So he called back down, Mom, are you home already? There was a long beat. But then after a few seconds, his mom walked slowly around the corner, coming from where the kitchen was and looked straight up at him from the bottom of the steps. She just smiled and then walked right back into the kitchen. My friend was frozen in a place for a moment, but then again, he heard her mom call him, his mom, called to get dinner. And he said the only reason that he didn't just walk down those stairs to see what was going on was because she was home so early, was because he thought it was strange that she didn't talk or even utter a single word when she appeared. Like, why did she just smile at him and then walk away? That just didn't sit right. The fact he never saw her open her mouth. He could hear and he could see her both plain as day walking towards it, but never at the same time. And that smallest of details is why he chose instead to slam his door shut, lock it, and call his mom. She answered immediately and was still several states away, hundreds of miles away. And they ended up calling the police for fear of an intruder or something, but they never found anyone in the house. It was all locked up with the security system and everything. He did not sleep there alone anymore after that. I've heard accounts of this before. I've actually heard of accounts like this in the paranormal before. I've also heard of this. Now, this has happened quite a bit. That someone will appear, like a loved one will appear to them, but it's almost like an apparition. They're not fully solid, and you can sort of see through them, sort of, but they can have a conversation with you, and then they will leave. And then I've had people tell me that their mother or their father or whoever it was had actually passed away 5 minutes prior to them seeing them. So there was one case that someone had told me that their mom was out of town or something of this nature, and that she had a horrible car accident. It was around 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I mean, it was deadly, a fatal car accident. And so he went downstairs and he was getting something to drink and all that. And his mom came in and came from the bedroom and said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine." And he didn't turn around. He didn't really, and he saw her walk back towards her bedroom. No big deal. And he went upstairs, didn't think about it. And then he got a call from his father around 9:45, telling him that his mom had passed away at 9:30. The exact same time that he saw his mom. Now that's crazy. Is that a doppelganger? I don't know. But listen to, here's another story. It says, I woke from a nap, turned on the TV in our living room, and scrolled through some channels when my mother suddenly leaned over the bar and stared at me without saying anything. I'd been awake for a few minutes at this point, so I can't rightly blame sleep paralysis for all this. Now, whatever this thing was, it was entirely identical to my actual mom. It sounds weird to describe, but it's as if the only difference was that this thing pretended to be my mom, had never felt a single emotion in its life. It was unsettling. It beckoned me, and I attempted to talk to her as I would my mom. She kept beckoning, refused to answer. And that's when I sensed something horribly wrong. Naturally, I started screaming at this thing to answer me. It just kept looking and staring. I bolted, running out the room and into the yard, yelling for my mom. My mom, the real one, had been working in the yard and came rushing over. And I told her what I just seen, and she soothed me with easy explanations that it must have been a fever dream, but thankfully stayed at my side the rest of the afternoon as I was a nervous wreck. I would imagine, when you hear these kind of stories, now, could these people be lying? Sure. I think it's fair to say, yep, they could be making it up. But what do they gain for that? And here's what's interesting also, that we're seeing this in all type of socioeconomic status, all genders, religions. It seems like a lot of people are experiencing this. This is a story here. When I read this, I thought, okay, listen to this one. Tell me what you think about this. They say, we lived in an apartment that was empty. The owner hadn't rented the second floor. It was a 2-bedroom apartment with a kitchen and a bathroom by the door. A small apartment, but with a big window that forces out to the door. So when I heard someone knock, I checked the window and I saw my father. So I thought. I was going to the door to open it. When I was going to unlock the door, my mother pulls me away and screams at me not to open the door because I didn't know who it was. I told her it was Dad. She freaked out, going to the window and then checking the peephole. She started to get terrified, and she said to go to the farthest room in the apartment, not to come out. She went and woke up my dad. My dad got angry and he was confused, and we told him what we saw, and the man was still knocking at the door. My dad screamed, "Who is it?" No answer. He said he will call the cops, but no response. Now, while my dad was busy screaming at him, we saw that he was just standing still in front of the door. So my mom took us to the furthest room from the door while my dad got ready to open the door with a metal bat. And once he did, the man was gone. My dad goes out looking everywhere around the apartment. The apartment door was a heavy metal door and always was heard when someone comes in and out, but we heard nothing that morning. And when my dad opened the door, and we heard no footsteps either, but my brother, my mom, and I saw that man looked exactly like my dad. Now, if you have see, that's what I'm saying. That's where you're arguing about what are doppelgangers. The theories are so far out, from aliens to demons, to other. Well, thank you very much. To other spirits, to interdimensional beings. There are so many different theories, and that's why when you're looking at doppelganger, you can't. I don't think you can put a one answer on it, because there's so many different experiences. Yeah, it reminds me of that movie. What is that one movie? I forgot the name of it. It was a really cool movie. I remember they were by the beach. I think it's called Us. I don't know if have you seen that? If you have not seen the movie Us, you might want to check that out. That's very, very much the theory of a doppelganger. Have you never heard of it? Yeah, check it out. It's called Us. And let me check it. Hold on. Let's see. Us movie. It's 2019. And it's an interesting movie. It's a very, very, very interesting movie. Also, it says here in Wikipedia, the 2019 American psychological horror film written and directed by Jordan Peele. The film follows Adelaide and with her family, who are attacked by a group of menacing doppelgangers. So the project was announced in February 2018. Much of its cast showing the following months. I'm telling you, it was. I don't want to give the plot away, because I don't want to give because there's a real cool one of those. If you like those movies that have it kind of throws you off at the end, this is the one of those movies, like The Others. The Others has that aha moment. At the end, it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That movie is very similar. The movie called Us, and it's 2019. Is it mom and dad, sister and brother? Let's see. I think, let me check who is the cast. If you look on Us movie, 2019, you'll find it. It looks like I think there was, but I can't remember. Hold on. It is a creepy movie. The acting is pretty amazing. So if you have not seen it, I would encourage you to. It got really great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I think the audience score is a little bit lower than what it should be. It was 60%, but the critics gave it 93%. And so let's see. I'm trying to. Let me find it here. Accompanied by her husband, son, and daughter, Adelaide Wilson returns to the beachfront home where she grew up as a child. Haunted by a traumatic experience from the past, Adelaide grows increasingly concerned that something bad is going to happen. Her worst fears soon become a reality when 4 masked strangers descend upon the house, forcing the Wilsons into a fight for survival when the masks come off. The family is horrified to learn that each attacker takes the appearance of one of them. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm telling you, if you've not seen it, watch it. Watch it. Yeah, I'm looking at the. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, it was filmed in Santa Cruz. It's a good movie. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. So here's another story about a doppelganger. Allegedly, it's about 10 p.m. I was taking the trash to the dumpster in the alley behind my complex. The complex had only 6 two-story apartments. The front door of each facing south. And we lived on number 5. And if you were to walk outside, once you open the door, there's a little raised landing where you'd put a welcome mat, step off the landing, and you're on a walkway. And you have to go either left or right because there's a very tall wooden fence separating the complex from the large house next door. So if you turn right and walk down past apartments 4 through 1, you run into a gate. You go through a gate and you're now on the main streets in Midtown. If you were to turn left coming out of the apartment, you will pass number 6. And then the laundry room and immediately into a wrought iron gate. And immediately on the other side, there's a dumpster. It's just a very short distance from my door to the dumpster, and with nothing to obstruct your view. You can see from the dumpster all the way down the length of the walkway to the gate at the other end of the complex. So the entire area is well lit. Literally every unit would turn their front porch on every single night. There's a street light right where the dumpster is, and one right on the other side of the street side gate. So it was easy to see my wife open the gate and head up the walkway towards our apartment. I waved at her and have no idea how she didn't see me. And I thought about yelling, but didn't want to scare her, startle the neighbors. I was done emptying the garbage, so I just started walking in short distance to her. And as I'm walking up, I see the door to our apartment open. Of course, I figured she opened it, but it was dark, so I didn't actually see her do it. Then she kind of leans in, and I could hear her calling my name. But she would not walk into the apartment, our own apartment. So why not walk into it, right? Then when I got behind her and said hi, she became frantic, asking me, how did you know? How did you do that? How did you get back inside? I explained that I'd been at the dumpster emptying the trash, to which she interrupted me and said, no, you opened the door for me and walked upstairs. I called after you and you turned your head and looked at me, but didn't say anything and just kept walking. And then she started crying. She said, I searched the apartment, found nothing. We moved about 6 months later to the house that we're at now. And one day, shortly after we moved in, my wife thought she saw me walking past the windows that looked into the backyard from the kitchen, and it wasn't me. And again, she said it looked just like me and that it walked all the way around the house before disappearing. And then she realized I was in the bedroom. He says, just want to be clear, we're not believers. We don't see the paranormal in every day. We have no history of seeing ghosts or spirits. We aren't ghost hunters. We aren't religious, and we aren't cult members. We don't worship the devil. We're rational adults with a family and careers who always look for the rational solution that can be backed by science. My wife has no health issues, mental or physical, that would lend themselves to experiencing something like this. And while, he said, I did not witness this myself, and it goes on and on. You know what? That to me, honestly, is that sounds demonic. I mean, that just sounds demonic to me. I did, yes. Someone's asking me, did I see the movie Nefarious? Eric says, it says there's a new movie you got to see. It's called Nefarious, about a man death row. I did. I finally got to see Nefarious. Nefarious is actually a very good movie. It really goes into the deep psychological aspects of possession, of oppression, and seeing what a person goes through. Now, it really does mimic schizophrenia, and almost even to a dissociative identity disorder in this movie. But there's clearly something going on. And there's something going on because the demon absolutely knew things about this person coming in, the psychiatrist. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot. I'm not going to spoil it. Basically, a psychiatrist is coming in to determine whether or not the man is insane or not, or fit to be put to death, because that was the law. So he was to come in to do a psychological evaluation. And there were things that that the condemned, a complete, totally different alter, 100% different alter, personalities, everything changed. And he knew things, very private and personal things that the psychiatrist was suffering from in his personal life. What I also liked about it, this was 100% demonic. I mean, in this movie, in the movie Nefarious, no question. I mean, you're left without question that it was demonic. I mean, they don't leave that as that's what I liked about it. They didn't leave it as, oh, what do you think? No, it's pretty clear. This guy's suffering from possession. And because one thing that I really liked, because he would go in and out of this transient possession. And when he was not in the stage of possession, he was very feeble. He was very weak, timid. You could tell he was tortured, physically, psychologically tortured. But then when the demon would enter back in, it was a total change. Everything. Also, if you pay attention, if you watch the movie Nefarious, pay attention to that. Pay attention to the facial and the flickering of the tongue. And you'll notice that in the movie. That's very, very similar to a person who's actually possessed. It's serpent-like. It's snake-like. And just the way he now, of course, I think they could have gone further with a bit more extreme contortions of the face, but it's hard to do without it being very, very expensive, obviously costly to do that. But though I think the actor did a great job with everything changing when the demon entered. There's no question you could tell. No question. So if you have not seen I saw it. It's on Apple, and I purchased it on Apple. So I'm telling you, it's one of those things. I've been teaching for transient possession and perfect possession for over 2 decades, and a lot of people don't know transient possession. Transient possession is when the demonic will enter the body and leave at will, but the person remains under the stage of oppression and obsession. Where the demonic is constantly attacking the intellect and will of the person. So they're still under that stage, and the demon can enter and leave just at will, whenever it wants. I would encourage you to check it out. If you're interested in it, it's a good movie. I thought it was well done. And what I liked about it, it wasn't, it's a very heavily psychological, but that's exactly many times, because there's a lot of what's called retrocognition. And so the ability to know your sins. And this psychiatrist was startled, to say the least. So take a look at that. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you. I encourage you to check it out. Here's another story about a doppelganger. It says about 7 years ago, my mom apparently saw a doppelganger of me in our house. I was in my bedroom upstairs studying for an exam while her and my dad were talking in the living room on the main floor below me. The main floor in our home was very open, and anyone who is sitting at the right angle on our living room couch has a good view at the main hallway. You can see if anybody enters or exits any other room in the floor. So my mom was sitting at this angle, and she saw me walk down the hallway. She looked right at me and said, "Hello." But I continued walking by without acknowledging her and went straight into the laundry room. When I didn't come out, after maybe 5 or 10 minutes, she got up to check on me. However, despite her feeling certain that she never saw me exit, I was nowhere to be found in the laundry room, nor any other room on the main floor. Spooked, she went upstairs and asked me if I had been downstairs. I told her that I hadn't left my bedroom for hours. Nothing particularly dangerous happened after the incident. We never really interpreted it as a bad omen, just chalked it up to another weird thing that some of the strange energy or entities in our house decided to do. See, again, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. There's another story about, it seems like a residual. It seems like it's a residual energy. I have a few more, and then we'll get into some of your questions. It says, my husband was hungry, so he went into the kitchen. He started to rummage in the fridge. I continued walking into a bedroom at the opposite end of the house from the bedroom we were staying in. I came back out and tapped him on the shoulder. He jumped out of his skin and demanded, "How did you get behind me? And why do you have your clothes back on?" Apparently, I had walked back into the kitchen from our guest bedroom with nothing on, walked over to a chair, picked up something invisible, and walked by him with a blank stare on my face. He stepped into the hallway, angry that I did not acknowledge him, and saw nobody there at all, but did notice that the light in the guest bedroom was turned on again. And when I told him that I'd been in the bedroom in the opposite direction the entire time, I stepped into the hall and told him that the light wasn't on anymore. So I really would like to discover an explanation for what we saw. You know, I don't know, guys. That's what I'm saying. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you're getting this many reports of people seeing doppelgangers, that's where you have to say, okay, now there's something going on here. What that is, it's theory. Because we don't know. We haven't sat down with a doppelganger and said, okay, who are you, pal? You know, what are you? Tell me what's going on. What are your memories? We don't know. So ultimately, we can theorize on it. But until we actually are able to sit down with our doppelganger and say, okay, you're going to have to tell me what you need. You're going to have to tell me what you are. You're going to have to who you are, how much you know about me, you know. Let's see. May 1st, kid reporting of the alien landing in his backyard. You know, I did see there is a video out there. I don't know if this is what you're referring to, Janelle, but I did see a video on TikTok where they had saw I don't know if you guys have seen this on TikTok or on other social media, where they saw a blue light come down from, it looked like a rock, or come down from obviously space, and it had this blue tint to it, and they heard this pow. Now, could that have been a meteor? Yeah, it could have. But allegedly, this person saw something standing there. So, but I personally think, I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know about the person who filmed it. I don't know. But I do know that this is recorded, and this was legitimate. I think, personally, I believe that this was probably an asteroid, some type of smaller asteroid. But I couldn't see. Allegedly, he said he saw this alien thing. I couldn't see this. So let's see. Sue's alien after seeing blue light. When I saw it, I tried to look at it, but it's a Las Vegas claims to see aliens after several reports. So if those of you who are going to look at this, that's where it is. It's a Las Vegas family claims to see aliens. So I don't know. Oh, we don't need to hear. Just play the thing. Don't you hate commercials? They have commercials for everything now. But when I saw this, I thought, well, I don't know. It kind of did you see that? It was on the news, actually.
Everybody will be talking about. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Valdez.
Brian Loftus, a family says something crashed into their backyard, prompting them to call 911, saying they saw creatures walking around.
Our 8 News Now investigators digging into this for weeks now, and tonight our David Sharns with the
This
video
is
you will only see
Channel
on
8 News.
Right, Denise, sources telling the News Now investigators that several agencies believe something landed or crashed. Whether it was non-humans or not, it certainly scared the people living on this property. Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot. 9 feet, 10 foot, I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes,
Okay.
like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Okay.
Well, the 8 News Now investigators obtaining video as officers then responded to the call you just heard. You'll see the officers also saw something in the sky that night, but the big question is, what was it?
Yeah.
And is it all connected? It's almost midnight on May 1st when
You
a Las
clearly
Vegas
see it.
Metro police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
I'm telling you, if you have not seen this, guys, take a look at it. It is. I mean, remember, this family calls 911. I believe they saw something. You know what? It's on Channel 8 News. And Las Vegas family claims to see aliens after several reports something falling from sky. Something is going on. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, but that is kind of creepy. Yeah, they saw something. Yeah, definitely take a look at that. It's in Las Vegas, and I would love to be able to talk to these people, but apparently they're absolutely convinced they saw something. And you call 911, and these people are. At least he appeared to be coherent, and he was able to articulate. So he didn't seem like it was out of his mind. And he called 911. And so if you call 911 and you're reporting false reports, you can get in some trouble. That's illegal. You can actually, Nessie, what you can do is you can go online on Channel 8 News in Las Vegas. They actually, there was a police officer who had a body camera on. He was on another scene, and you actually see it. You see this blue thing coming down, and you see it on his camera. I've noticed that. I have noticed that too. I've noticed, for some reason, have you noticed that we're getting more and more reports of these things? I've noticed that. We're getting more and more reports of these things that we're seeing. And something is, when you see that many reports on this, there's something going on. Because even to the point where now our military is actually taking this seriously. So I don't know. I'm going to have to do another presentation on UFOs and aliens because I believe there's something there. So let's see if I can find it. And then if I can find it, I'll show it to you briefly. So that's him talking about it. Okay. So this is, for those of you who want to see it, this is actual, I'll do this on TikTok. This is the police officer body cam.
it's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
So you see that, folks. Now I've seen asteroids before. It looks sort of like that, but I'll have to let me show everybody else.
in the sky that night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected? It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
There's something there. I mean, there is something there. There's no question.
The call you just heard
There's no question that something.
also saw
So
something
here
in
it
the
is.
sky that night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected?
I have to show everybody.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
I'm telling you. And then you have someone reporting there's an 8-foot person. I'm going to have to. I don't know. See, I don't know about the agenda. I don't know, but there's something going on, and I believe there's. I mean, we have proof that something at least fell from the sky. Now, what that was, we can debate. But I mean, I just don't believe a family is going to call 911 to report that they're seeing this creature. because they know that if you call 911 and you report something false, you can get in trouble. You can get arrested. That's something that's not, you don't play around with that. And they're not the only ones that called. So 911 had a lot of other calls. See, a lot of people ask me if I think they're fallen angels. I don't. I don't believe that. I do believe in aliens. So I do believe that, yes, and even Rome had stated that you can certainly be a Christian and still believe in alien life. So I do believe that there is alien life. Now, why it is that we're seeing a lot more reports on it, or it's being more, I think it's just being more transparent. And that's, yeah, you're right. And the grays, and most of the time people describe them as grays. Now, there are other alleged alien species that are taller than the grays. So what we'll do next week is we'll do a presentation on alien abduction and aliens, the reports and sightings. As a matter of fact, one thing that I was really, really cool. I remember being in school. This was 1945, an incident that happened in Fort Knox. And so I was in school, not 1945, but I was in school and doing a report on UFOs. And this was back in the day where the computers, we didn't have internet. Yes, I'm old, but we didn't have it. We didn't have internet, but we had the phone book. And that's how, so I had read in a book about a Captain Thomas Mantell in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And he was a pilot. And then he was chasing after this object. And so I went to the phone book and I went through and I found out who his wife was, what her name was. And so I called her and I said, look, I know you have no idea who I am. I'm just a kid. I'm just doing a report. And I think I was in 8th grade or something. Said, I want to know if you could tell me anything about Captain Tom, your husband, anything. I'd call them. I just called a bunch of Mantell and his wife, a bunch of people, because there were several of them. So I just called them. They said, no, I don't know who you're talking about. But finally I got a hold of that one person. She said, yes, I was his spouse. I said, okay, can you tell me something about it? Was it true? She said, absolutely. My husband saw something. And she said his last words were, and this was a pilot. This was a fighter pilot. This was a very highly respected and very respected soldier in the military and Air Force. And he said, it is sphere, it is silver, and it is going very, very fast. I can't keep up. That was his last transition. That was it. He disappeared. And that was crazy. That was crazy. So if you've not, we'll have to do a presentation on that. But I remember talking to her. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget about that was insane. Yeah, but it was for those of you who don't know, it's the Mantell UFO incident. And I called his wife. I got an A on the paper. So, but it's a case of Kentucky Air National Guard pilot Captain Thomas F. Mantell. And a lot of people would say that it says here, he was the first known military pilot to have perished while in pursuit of a UFO. So, yeah. Let's see. It was in, Thomas Mantell was flying from Marietta, Georgia to Standard Field in Louisville, Kentucky. They were on a routine training mission. And someone asked them to divert and investigate an unidentified object in that field. And Mantell and 2 other pilots in the squadron diverted to the field. And at this point, the ensuing events became the subject of contentious debate. There's a lot of evidence there, that what is known beyond any question is that Thomas Mantell did not survive his encounter. So, but his wife was absolutely convinced that he saw something. And astronauts have seen something, and even pilots. I mean, professional pilots of a 747, people who are trained, they have seen things. Something is going on. Something is happening. It just seems to be very strange to me while we're having all these reports. I don't know. Okay, so we'll open it up to everybody on TikTok. If you have any questions, we can kind of get there and going from that. But I want to do the UFOs, and then we're going to talk about saging 2 weeks from now, because a lot of people don't think that saging is this evil stuff, and that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. Someone asked me about Lilith from the biblical perspective, because there's a lot of theories on Lilith, and people saying that Lilith was the first wife of Adam, and how did it come about that Lilith, the biblical perspective? Well, actually, if Lilith is it's Jewish folklore, and it's first attested in a Dead Sea Scroll. And if you want to look that up, if you want to do your own biblical research on it, you can type in a Dead Sea Scroll, Songs of the Sage, SAGE is what you need to refer to it, from the Dead Sea Scroll. In that work, and then even in later Babylonian Talmud, which is about AD 300 to 500, she's then later described as a demon. So, and then we see even in the later medieval alphabet of Ben Sira, first described her as Adam's wife. But Lilith is not found in sacred scripture, or even in the church's tradition. And I think in this case, the stories about her being Adam's first wife, technically, I think we can chalk that up to as being a myth. So it's really Jewish folklore. If someone was asking me about that, and so hopefully reptilians, yeah, it's true. Yep, and we're going to talk about reptilians next week too. So yeah, people have been asking me about Lilith, and being the biblical Lilith being Adam's first wife. There's just nothing. We really don't even see that, to be honest with you, even in the Pentateuch. We just simply do not see that. So we don't see it in Moses' writings. We don't see it. It's just simply not there. Now we're not referring to demons here. We're talking Lilith. The name. There's two different Liliths we're talking about, folks. Lilith was believed to be a woman, and who was Adam's first wife. But that's Jewish folklore. There's nothing, and actually we don't see this until that's in the Dead Sea Scrolls is where we found that. But in AD 300 to 500 is where then Lilith was being described as a demon by Ben Sira. So that's the difference there. So there's two different features. So I'm talking Lilith of Adam's first wife. There's no biblical reference to that. No. Well, I mean, there's a lot of theories on that. There's a lot of, but no, there's nothing. Now, can we argue the demonic? Sure. But as far I'm talking about biblically, Adam's first wife. No. Okay. And technically, someone's asking about. There's a lot of debate regarding Mary Magdalene, and in Scripture. What's interesting is in all four Gospels of the New Testament, it does note that Mary Magdalene was present at the crucifixion. But Luke is the only one that actually describes in her role as in Jesus' ministry. Because it says in Luke chapter 8, verse 1-3, that there were some women who had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about Mary Magdalene, it really comes from as far as the possession. It was from Mark chapter 16, verse 9. And that's allegedly there were demons that had possessed her. And but what's interesting is it's not found in the earliest, I think the earliest manuscripts. And if you look at Mark in that particular passage, it's a 2nd century addition to the original text. And that's they believe, theologians believe that's an addition. It was added because of the Gospel of Luke. Now, there's a lot of theologians who argue that it was not Mary Magdalene that was possessed. So there's a lot of theories on that. And there's also whether or not Mary Magdalene and Jesus was married. No. So there we go. There's just simply a spirit of octopus. A spirit of an octopus? Are peeing? Wait. Oh, yeah, Marianne. Yeah. Is there a spirit of octopus? Are people saying that people are possessed by a spirit of an octopus? And I appreciate the question. No, because seriously, I've heard. Oculus, the movie. Okay. But folks, listen, I've heard people, pastors claiming that they were possessed by a dog. She has a spirit of dog. And that's what seriously, there's a video and I play it when I there's a YouTube channel of it. There's a YouTube channel also where this preacher was saying she has a spirit of dog. She has a spirit of dog. He said it twice to her because basically he wanted her to bark. And this person started barking. I'm telling you guys, it is truly one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. And it's sad because to me, it's just, it's terrible. It is terrible. But it's Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists. Yeah, it's okay. Well, the gift of knowing. See, that's an interesting, Brad. That's it. Someone's asking, Father, how can I control the gift of knowing when someone is going to pass? You know, that's an interesting question. And here's why. People say, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. And it's not going to happen. And that doesn't exist. I don't know about that. Listen, there is and for those of you who don't know, there's a cat. There's a cat, for those of you who don't know, who can predict when someone is going to pass away. And it's I don't know. You can, if you don't want to believe it, that's fine. That's okay. That's fine. But it actually does exist. They know when the patient is going to pass away. And matter of fact, this was actually in the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian Magazine did an article on this by Rose. Her name is Rose Eveleth. And if those of you who have never heard, listen to this. It is interesting. It says you might have heard about Oscar, the cat, before. Well, Oscar lives at Steer Housing Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center. And he has a weird skill. He knows who's going to die. So as he wanders the halls of the center, he stops by patients who have the shortest amount of time to live. In the last 5 years, Oscar has correctly predicted at least 50 deaths in 2007. Dr. David Dosa wrote a piece of the New England Journal of Medicine about it. So 3 years later, he wrote a book called Making the Rounds with Oscar, The Extraordinary Gift of an Ordinary Cat. And Oscar is still at it. So it's crazy. It says, well, let's start with the fact that the story of Oscar's power might not really be true. No one has actually studied Oscar. No one has kept real records of his predictions and the outcomes. But apparently, and it says here, plus, the wing Oscar Wonders is full of people who are dying all the time. It's a 41 bed space for patients with advanced dementia. And Discovery does write, if Oscar Wonders buy enough rooms for long enough, he will likely be in or near rooms with dying patients just by random chance every now and then. But there was a study that this cat, what it would do is when people who are near death, the cat would jump up on the bed and curl up next to the person. And that ultimately this person would pass away a couple days later. Oscar wouldn't jump on beds if a person wasn't going to pass away a couple days later. So it obviously got the attention of doctors and even to the medical journals. So it's I tell you what, it's fascinating. It is fascinating. I do own the doll that was in the show. I don't have it in my home. I didn't bring it with me. I have my haunted items in a storage facility. I had showed it once, one time, and I might show it again, but it's going to stay in its case. I'm not taking it out of its case. So maybe I'll show the doll again, but I do have it. Yeah. So, but yeah, it is. I can't deny what I saw at Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference. No, we are not. We are now. It's everybody. Everybody can come in and chat on TikTok. But that's interesting. When I read about that cat, and apparently it has some. There's some. Well, see, I believe that this doll had a demonic attachment. No question about it. The wife had collected. She loved collecting oddities. She loved it. They were a wealthy family, and she enjoyed collecting the unique things. And so, but she could buy any type of antique that she wanted. I mean, she loved antiques. She loved oddities. She traveled the world. But this doll, at this event where she went, there were all kinds of, and she kept telling me, I don't understand, because there were all kinds of really neat collectible items, antiques. There were everything. This was a huge place that she went to. But this doll, she couldn't stop thinking about it. And she became obsessed about it. It was to the point where she was ignoring everything. It was a tunnel vision. That's what she described. It was tunnel vision. When she saw it, there was nothing else she could think about. And she became obsessed. And she bought it. She said, I don't care. I don't care what the cost is. I'm buying it. And so they took it home. They started having activity in their home. Now, this is a 3-story house. This was in Tennessee. This was a 3-story home, big, beautiful colonial home. And she brought it home. She brought it into the living room. So as soon as you walk in to the right in the formal living room, that's where it was. And this, very expensive, like a metal shelf. And she put it right there. It became an obsession. And then they started having activity in their home. And it was violent in their home. And it was very short. I think a week, maybe 2 weeks afterwards, the entire house burnt down to a crisp. There was nothing. The stairs weren't even there. I was there. I went to this home, and I couldn't believe what I saw. When I went into this place, there was nothing there. There was nothing there. And the ashes. And then they showed me a picture of the house, and I'm thinking, it was like, for this house to burn down like it was like someone had poured gasoline. I didn't smell gasoline, but it was like somebody had to have put some type of flammable liquid because it burnt to a crisp. There was nothing. A 3-story building, you would think there'd be something left. Nothing, except when I went to the because I wanted to kind of get my bearings, and I went to where the front room was, the door room was, and to the right they said this is the living room, and that doll was on that shelf. Now, my first thoughts were, how in the heck did this doll not burn to pieces? Everything had been burnt. Even the metal shelf had burnt stains on it. Everything had melted. Now, this is a porcelain doll with fabric. So I couldn't understand that. I did not understand that I couldn't explain. So when I went up and I picked the doll, it was hot. It felt like it was like there was a third degree burn. That's the only way I can describe it. It felt like it was like someone had put it on fire. And so that's when I brought it, and I said, this has got to go. So I took it, and then I went to Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference, and that's where I was. And I had it in its case, and people were asking me about it. And I normally never take it out, never. But I thought, okay, because everybody was saying, oh, please let it take it. Okay, fine, I'll take it out. So I took it out. No one wanted, everything in the room changed. Everything. Because before then, we were having a good conversation about the paranormal and demonology, and it wasn't heavy, it wasn't dark. But as soon as I opened that case, everything, the whole room, the atmosphere changed. And that's what they were trying to portray in the show, how everything just seemed to change for the darker. And no one wanted to touch the doll. No one. And there are people in the room said that that they were psychics, they were mediums. No one wanted to touch it. So I was getting ready to put it back in its case because I wanted to make a point. I was like, okay, fine. Because they kept saying, oh, let us see it. I was like, look, I'm telling you guys, this is not a joke. Oh, please let us see it. Please. Okay, fine. Then you want to see it? I'm going to make a point. And I'm going to prove to you right now that not one person is going to touch this doll. So I took it out and I helped. Here you go. No, we don't want it. We don't want it. I told you. So as I was putting it back, I turned my back and I was getting ready to put it on this case. Someone asked me a question and I got distracted. And I put it right next to my laptop. Now, I had saved for months on a new laptop because my old laptop was old. And I turned around to address a question, and a firefighter screamed, "Bishop Long, turn around." I turned around and my laptop was on fire. Now, I can't explain that away. I saw it. A whole room of people at Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, they saw it. That sucker was on fire. And I don't know. What's interesting about that doll is that I can still smell the burnt smell. You can still smell, and it has burnt stains on the fabric. So you can see the burnt stains. But the doll was porcelain. There's no cracks, nothing. And the actual fabric, it's like silk. The only thing that's there, it's kind of like a burnt markings where the fire was. No. This computer was a brand new computer. And I had used this computer. It was not hot. It was in perfect shape. This was a great computer. There was no short because you can't explain that. It was not running hot. It was not because I obviously used the computer while I'm doing my presentation. It literally, when I put that doll next to that computer and I turned around, no sooner than I turned around to address the question, it was on fire. And here's what's even more interesting. Listen to this. Listen to this. I have an apostolic succession all the way to Peter. I have a 121-page document that shows my apostolic succession. But listen to this. It's very, very interesting. When I was on the plane, because I had that doll with me, because they asked me to bring the doll to the church. So I said, okay. So I had blessed it. I had protected it, and it was in obviously my carry-on because I didn't want to, we were late 3 hours, and I actually thought I was going to miss my connecting flight. We were late because a light bulb kept burning out in the cockpit. Now, people say, well, that happens. The captain came on. I remember the captain came on the intercom and said, folks, I've been flying for 40 years. I can't explain why we keep having this light bulb burning out, but I cannot leave until we fix this issue. So they kept having maintenance come by several times because it kept burning out. That's when I got up and I blessed that sucker. I mean, I blessed that with every, I was like, no. And we were able to go. But I can't explain that away. I know what I saw. I know what I witnessed. And so, but yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy. Well, I disagree. I have the doll. Yeah, I own the doll. And people say, well, why do you take collected items? The reason I don't collect these items, I'm not a collector. I remove them. And I remove them from people's homes because there's a lot of people that go out and collect these items, and then violent activity occurs in their homes. So they remove these items, and then I teach about them because I do paranormal conferences, and I teach about the dangers of demonology and paranormal investigating. And so what I do is I say, okay, this is what happened. This is the story of this item or this item. And I tell people, stop believing them and or stop buying into this whole, because what people are doing is they're purposely buying these things where there could be some real dark activity or attached to it. And there are people who actually purposely go out and find these things where they're used in evil practices because they want a demonic attached to it. I don't know why. Yep. I have my storage facility is blessed. There was she didn't tell me about a name. There was no name that she gave it. I didn't see a name on the doll itself. Yeah, I mean, I do. I try to tell people stay away from it. Stay away from collecting these things, and because people are visual too. Because here's what no matter what I do, someone's always going to criticize. If I don't have them, then people are going to say, well, you need to start having them to teach about it. And if I do have them, then people say, well, you don't need them. Because if I talk about haunted items, and people inevitably will say at the paranormal conference, well, do you have it? Can we see it? What does it look like? So I have them to say, here it is. And this is the story behind them. Now stay away from it. Stop playing with these things. Stop collecting them. So yeah, it's the new show that I'm in. Excuse me. Oh, leukemia. Oh, I'm very sorry, Shannon. Yeah. Shannon Allen on Facebook. I encourage you also join us we have night prayer coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So why don't you join us? Because our community would be more than happy to pray for your father. So, yeah, I have quite a few items. I have an entire storage facility, and quite a matter of fact, I will say I will share this with you. And normally I don't have these items with me, but since I was going to talk about this anyway, people were going to ask. So, and I've talked about this. I've shown this before. These are originals. So again, a family likes collecting these items. They have the money to buy them. And so they bought them. And then when they bought them, activity occurred in their home. And I actually take these to paranormal conferences so people can see them. So this is one. Well, and I showed this before. And of course I have this uncovering because I don't want to touch it. But when you see this, it's not, it's like little cabins, on the lake. That doesn't look too scary when you see that. But when you see this, and this is an actual picture, an actual drawing, and then when you see the author or the artist, John Wayne Gacy. I will be bringing, I think I'll bring some to Connecticut. I don't know if I'll be able to bring all of too many things because I'll be flying there. And this one I just received not too long ago. And Gacy actually painted quite a few of these because he used these to for his defense because he needed to raise a lot of money. But here is an actual painting of Gacy with a pogo. And so these have been blessed. And I do take these to the paranormal conference so they can see it. The red that you see, I just found this out not too long ago. The red here, Gacy many times would poke his hand, his finger, and he would use blood on the red little balls there. He was a sick man. So. But people collect these things. They collect them. And they collected these things and they had some really, really violent activity, in their home. And then they wondered why. It's like, well, he had actually poked and just kind of it wasn't smear. I mean, he didn't like the whole entire thing is in blood, just enough to where he poked it in blood and then put it in, then painted over it. So they just stay away from them. Stay away from these things. They're not good. They are evil, and people collect them. And so I just I tell them all the time, just kind of stay away from them. So yeah, he was. Yeah, I actually did a presentation, and eventually I'll do another presentation on Gacy. As well as a couple other people. Matter of fact, I was in a documentary, and I don't know when it's coming out. This was before I filmed for the television show. There was a documentary of an individual, and we're still working on me trying to get there, but he did some really crazy stuff. He's in prison, and I can't talk about I can't get into details. It was it was a known case. And we're trying to get me down there to interview him. I have based on what I have read, unless he's well versed on demonology, there's a possibility that he could have been under the stage of transient possession. So I just want to meet this person. That's what we're trying to get. That's what we're trying to make happen. So I can't tell you a whole lot about. I can't tell you anything about it because it hasn't been released yet. But they're working on it, and they're working on the possibility of me getting down to this state to meet him. But it's pretty terrible what he did. So I do not have. I don't have a Ted Bundy possessions. I do have a Jeffrey Dahmer possession. Someone had collected a Jeffrey Dahmer item, and I don't know why people do this, but they do. Yeah, see, for me, I really enjoy. Thank you, Mr. British. I really enjoy meeting these people who do this because I want to. When I say I enjoy it, because I want to learn. I want to learn. Are we dealing with a straight psychopath, or are we dealing with someone who could possibly be under demonic influence? Not to use that as an excuse, but as clergy, to be able to have the opportunity to speak to this individual who did some pretty god-awful things. That was very, very unlike, and that's the thing. I wish I could tell you about. I can tell you this. This was what he did was so out of place, so out of character that it was like a doppelganger, if you will, a totally different person. So something happened, and we'll go from there. Well, yeah, like I said, I'd love to meet him and bless him if I can, but I promise you, he will. We'll go from there. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. 110,000 likes on this. Wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Zach. Yeah. I have not been to Zach's museum. I'm going to have to go visit him. So. Okay. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh, by the way, tomorrow, I'm going to be here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for open mic night. But remember, Miss Wilma's going to be here for the first 30 minutes. So everybody knows Miss Wilma's 68 years old. We joke around. We have a good time. She talks about her movies. So for the first 30 minutes, we don't talk paranormal because she gets scared of her own shadow. But for the first, from 8 o'clock to 8:30, we joke around, have a great time. She loves making you smile, and she'll be leaving then at 8:30. And then after that, we'll go into your demonology questions. Okay. But hang on TikTok. I'm not leaving. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. Gosh, I can't believe it. It goes too fast. I'm going to remind you that we have night prayer coming up at the top of the hour. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can join us by going to bishopjameslong.com, scrolling down to the bottom, you'll see night prayer, or usocc.org. And just scrolling down, you'll see night prayer. It's at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. TikTok, I'm not leaving. Hang on. Remember, I tell you, my friends, that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless. Never let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB. God bless. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.